We are live, yes.
We're Luke. Sorry, hello, mate. Sorry, you're driving, and I'm telling you we're live.
This is the Sunday Mindset Session. I'm Luke Moroney. I've got Tony Meredith here. We're a little bit remote today, not as connected as we have been in recent weeks. How are you, Tony, on this Sunday morning? It is all happening.
Look, I'm awesome, mate. I've had a great week. In fact, for viewers who only watch me every Sunday, you'll notice that my face is a lot whiter than it was last Sunday. It was in fact the colour of Luke's shirt last Sunday. So, mate, I woke up incredibly sore on Monday and Tuesday, perhaps Wednesday, Thursday as well. So, but nonetheless, I was delighted to be there for you last week and celebrate. No, mate, I've had a great week, busy week, but a great week nonetheless. So, where are you, mate?
Up on the Sunshine Coast, just roaming around as I have been in Queensland for the last 3 months or so. I'll say 3 months because I keep saying that for the last month or so. So it probably is a little bit longer than that.
So but, I've been telling people that you're actually going for now that you've done your 1,000 runs, and that's in the past. Now moving forward, I'm telling people you're doing 1,000 nights in Queensland. Is that true?
Yeah, something like that. I could see that my mother was the first one that came on here. Michael was also joined. I think you knew that already, Tony. You just
I can't tell actually because via Zoom, right? So I suspected that might be the case. But have a little dig early. Catherine, good morning. How are you? We're looking after.
Yeah, we've also got Sean that has come on. Greg Pratley as well and morning to all of us this morning. Tony, we're going to get straight into it because time is always of the essence when it comes to things happening in Queensland and everything that is going on. But we've had a couple of interesting discussions around a mindset and mental health and, just the path, the way, the life, the strategy for all of us. And one thing that it did come up for you and I this week was that whole thing about chopping and changing your strategy. This is a big one for all of us because we can be distracted in different times of our lives. We can, be chasing things like the money aspect of things. We can be, be influenced by other people and what happens in economies and the news and different things. I know the media is a big one when it comes to, property investing as an example, where the booms and the busts. They talk about boom one day, they talk about bust the next day, and then people are influenced greatly about what they're doing. Catherine says, be careful, Tony, before I move on to the actual topic of today. So, Tony, what are your initial thoughts about, before we get into Catherine Moroney, but what are your initial thoughts about the chopping and changing of ideas and strategies?
Well, another thing, just to finish off for your intro, is I see it all the time with hotspots. So people investing, they're all looking for a hotspot, right? And they're wanting to chop and change. It's here and it's there and it's everywhere. And it's like, you know what? It's not about the hotspots. But nonetheless, that's a separate issue. But look, it came up this week for me where one of the clients was heading down a particular strategy, spent some time with someone in a similar field and came back and said, I want to head down a totally different strategy. And it's like, oh my gosh. And it happens all the time where, we look at what's happening somewhere else. It's called shiny objectitis. There's this shiny object that's sitting over in the periphery. It's more attractive because this strategy I've been doing for a while, maybe it's not working, it's hard, etc. So this thing over here looks a lot easier. And I see this all the time, Luke, where people aren't sticking to the course. They aren't, following the thing that they started off doing. And what they'll effectively do is they'll go over there, and they'll start again from scratch, and they'll build that up for 6 months or so, and then guess what will happen? That'll be too hard, and they'll change again. And this is a cyclical cycle. It's a little bit like yo-yo dieting. I see this quite often where, I don't know if you've heard the term yo-yo dieting, where people start a particular diet, and whenever someone starts a diet, they will start off full of vigor and gusto and energy. They'll get some new shoes, they'll get some new activewear, they'll join the gym. And a few weeks into that, and whilst they might lose a couple of kilos, something will happen. There'll be something that just sort of knocks them off course a little bit. And because they've been knocked off course a little bit, now all of a sudden these doubts start to come in. They get knocked off course again, and the doubts start to get bigger. And then they say, oh, no, this diet's no good. I'm going to go and start a different diet because it was all the diet's fault, right? So the diet's no good.
Or they actually do nothing, Tony. They go back and do nothing.
Potentially do nothing, yeah, correct.
It's interesting that you bring up the thing about itis. So what was it? What was your term again that you used?
Shiny objectitis.
Yeah, I guess I heard just in the last couple of days that itis actually means like inflammation. Anyway, move on.
That's terrific. So if you're just joining us, welcome to the Medicinal Hour with Luke and Tony. As we
Rob Kelly, good, Tony Gallagher, good morning to you all. John says, morning, everyone. Jazz Singh, real estate agent down in Melbourne, has come on as well. Jazz is on Facebook quite a lot. Tanya's also joined us, a fellow person in property looking to strive, looking for that path and direction. And so this might be a good one for Tanya and for other people that are just getting started to remain focused, remain on your path and your strategy, rather than get into that shiny object-itis. What was it? Shiny objectus? Whatever you call it.
Well, what it was, shiny objectitis. Shiny objectitis. There you go. Or
okay,
shiny
no
object.
It's good to see that Tony's helping the Oxford Dictionary create further words to include in there, and it might have a little reference to Tony Meredith when that does come on there. A couple of comments that are coming through, and we're interested in anyone that has been in a situation recently or in the past where you've chopped and changed your strategies. Has it been good, bad, or has it been ugly, Tony Meredith? And that's a big one. So a couple of things that have come up. John says, guilty here. Drastically reduced my drinking and smoking. Just can't totally stop. Feel as though I'm very close though. Oh, the body and the mind. So this is a big one. Tony, what would be your response to that? And we've got also Michael coming in with some ideas as well, which we'll comment in a second.
So firstly, in regards to firstly the smoking, I'd suggest anyone give up smoking and everyone give up smoking because evidence is it's horrendous for us. That's my personal opinion. I'm an ex-smoker. I haven't had a smoke since 1999, but I used to as a younger guy. But I would encourage people to give up. In regards to drinking, look, drinking in social situations is okay. I'm not an anti-drink. You know that I don't drink. I don't drink. I haven't drunk for 3.5 years or over 3.5 years. But I'm not anti-drinking. So, John, you really need to ask, why do you want to stop totally? Maybe you stop for a few nights a week. Maybe you give yourself a break during the school week, and then perhaps on a weekend you have a couple of drinks. I would just challenge you as to really understand why you want to do it, mate. If you're truly ready to stop, then you can stop. We can all stop. Right, and so perhaps you're not.
Tony, it's a massive mindset thing, right? We choose to either stop or start things, whatever it is in life. That's what it comes back to. This is what these sessions are all about. Whether you choose, it's a choice that you make each and every day. Why do you need that thing? What is really keeping you? What kind of habit are you creating for yourself to actually need that? We don't need anything really, do we?
Well, we certainly need something. So we need shelter, clothing, etc. So we need those are needs, right? But in regards to alcohol, no, we don't need alcohol. And you're right, Luke. It's around, is it because I relax in a social setting? Is it because it makes me a funnier person, gives me more confidence? Whatever it might be.
Does it make me a better dancer, Tony?
Look, man, and maybe that's the issue. Maybe the fact that when I stopped drinking 3.5 years ago, the dancing skills for me just
maybe that's what it was. You thought you were a better dancer than you actually are. Maybe my dancing skills were in the bottom of a whiskey bottle, right? So anyway, so I've lost them now. Oh well, move on to the next thing. So you're right, Luke. We can change in an instant, but here's the thing: is that sometimes it might take a long time. So even though that change happens instantly, it takes us a long time to build up to that change, right? And so John, you've commented over the last few months, you've been reducing. You're mate. I think that's terrific. Hey, but that's him taking one step at a time. So
one step at a time. I love it.
You don't have to defeat that bad habit if you believe it's a bad habit straight away, and that's the big thing. Maybe those great steps that you're taking now, John, are going to be significant for you in 6 months or a year's time. And it's like anything we do, as a property investor, when you're trying to build up your savings, you're creating good habits by making that savings plan. It doesn't mean you can buy the property day one. It's the same way when it comes to those things, in terms of, getting rid of the habits as well as creating good habits.
Forming new habits. That's it. Start small. We talk about it each and every week. We talk about it a lot in a running or an exercise sense, but it applies to everything. Start small. If you're in sales, make one phone call. Make one phone call tomorrow. Then make 2 on Tuesday, et cetera, et cetera. So exercise, run 100 meters, run 150 the next day, whatever it might be. Just start small. And so good on you, John. Keep it up.
Davina comes on, says good morning, and so does David. He says good morning, guys. Michael says, I'm changing my strategy after 8 years when I realized 3 years ago I could do things better for my situation. So, I guess the realization sometimes takes a little bit of time. And, by hearing other people and what they're saying and what they're doing, maybe you change your strategy over little bits. But what we're talking about today, Tony, is the people chopping and changing their strategy, their ideas in terms of like not having immediate success, not having that instant gratification of success. And I guess that's what's playing out in our culture these days, the need for instant success.
Yeah, correct. And if I just use Michael's example, so he's been going at it for 8 or so years, and he's realised it doesn't work. So, it's not like you said, it's not do something twice and then change. Here's a guy who's been doing something for 8 or so years, and he's realised that, it needs to head in a different direction. So there's not an exact time frame, but what I can tell you, it's more than twice, right? It's more than doing something for 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, 40 times. It's more than that. Right, so it may not be 8 years, but it's certainly more.
Look at Thomas Edison. Look at J.K. Rowling. They tried many times before they actually had success. So, but what we're seeing a little bit out there right now is the chopping, changing, and this is what we want to avoid, that shiny objectus syndrome.
My goal for this session is to have you pronounce it correctly, and I appreciate that. I appreciate I've just made a word up, but it's called, look, let's just go through it slowly. Shiny objectitis. Objectitis.
Shiny objectitis. Okay.
Yes!
Shiny objectitis. It's like a tight ass.
Move on.
Sean said, struggling with smokes, haven't had more than half a dozen drinks for many years. So Sean's one struggling with the cigarettes. So this is something, some of those bad habits that we have created for ourselves, that we think about what we're doing. I think about some of the things that, that I do at some times that is creating a bad habit. That might be having an extraordinary amount of coffees in one day, or it might be having a number of nights of drinking. For me personally, I know obviously, Tony, you don't drink, but for me, that sometimes there's a pullback that's needed and a realization for myself of some of those bad habits. I know that we're not really talking about bad habits today, but it did come up in the commentary, and this is what we want to reflect on when people have got those things that do rise out of having a sense of our topic, but we want to highlight them as well, Tony. So some of the bad habits that are created that we do need to realize about, and how we actually pull back for ourselves, whether it be immediately or have that realization is like, yeah, it's not really feeling good for me. How can I change it?
Absolutely. And some of us have bad habits and we're okay with that. And I have a bad habit, it's called eating ice cream, and I'm really okay with it. So, sometimes people aren't ready to change. And, I'll go back to when I was smoking again a long time ago.
Tony, I'll hold you back on that for a second. With the ice cream thing for you, is there a case that you have a certain amount, or you've had too much sometimes and you go, okay, maybe the next day I don't have so much? Or like, what is it for you when it comes to the ice cream?
Oh, I have too much of it because I love it.
Like every day?
Yeah, every day.
Like how many scoops would you have a day?
Oh, God.
Just give people a realization about what you're going through. And I know we joke about it a little bit.
And probably at least 2 to 3 scoops a day.
2 to 3. Okay, that's not too bad. Most people will have a dessert or something a day, during their course of the day, whether it be a lunch or a dinner. So
I do mine at dinner. I do mine at the end of the day, so I'll have my dinner and then I'll have some ice cream.
Excessive, but in terms of the scheme of things, if you really, the way you talk about it is like you have 10 scoops a day.
Well, to me, it seems like it's a lot, right? So to me, it seems like it's a lot, and it's certainly something that at the moment I'm okay with. But there has been times in the past where I've had 0, and so, but it's my vice as well. So I don't smoke, don't drink.
John, who's come on with another comment, new strategy taking on new Facebook contacts. And yesterday I had a great day with a nice boy sending me messages all day and my busy auction and podcast listening. Laugh out loud. I had to let him know that I'm married with 2 kids, and the Facebook is basically about real estate and property investing and developing. So he's had a bit of a stalker go on. I know who he's talking about as well. So Davina says changing or pivoting is an interesting one. So the thing is, what we're talking about is chopping and changing, but is it a sense of changing? Maybe we'll bring this into the discussion before we get into our first topic, and we're 17 minutes in already, Tony. But you know, I think the beauty of today is that we're using the interaction really well. We've got Christine's also come on, quite a few others. Sean Hayes has also joined, fellow property person out in the market. I was going to say property developer, but I'm not a developer. But I will say, someone said to me the other day, doing renovations, you're actually adding value, hence being a property developer.
Property entrepreneur. How does that sound?
Sounds good. So what about the pivoting and changing, Tony?
Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with, so for example, we've gone through COVID-19, right? And so we're still going through COVID-19. And so a lot of people have had to pivot and change. That's not the focus of what we're talking about today, but let me just explore that. Absolutely, I've had to pivot and change my business. And we're about to do a whole lot more stuff and have been doing stuff online, right? We weren't doing stuff online 6 months ago, 4 months ago. And so you've got to change, you've got to pivot your business. The whole idea, but is that when what today's all about is not pivoting, it's about someone who's done something once or twice or 3 times, thrown the hands in the air, said it's too hard, and I'm going to go and do something totally different.
What about, right? Tony? What about, Tony, if someone actually pivots and then they feel like they're always pivoting?
This is part of the issue. Then they go around in circles, right? They get incredibly dizzy because they're constantly changing and they're constantly trying something. That doesn't work. Try this over here, doesn't work. That's not how the world works, right? The world works based on consistency and persistency. You keep going, you make an enormous number of mistakes, you refine it, you improve it, you adapt, you do all these types of things. It's not, hey, I did this thing 3 or 4 or 5 times and doesn't work, throw my hands in the air, I'm going to try something totally different, because you will constantly just be on full rudder and just go around and round in circles.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lack of patience there for a lot of people, and once they don't succeed at one thing and an immediate action, there's, I use my acronym a lot: team, action, patience, TAP, turn on your tap. And the patience one is a big one for people, and it's like, but it's not working. That is the common thing. It's not working. How long people, when you're coaching them, Tony, how long before they just say it's not working and they look for the answers, maybe from you or from other people?
Oh, certainly within the first 4 weeks. So within the first 4 weeks, people are constantly saying, oh, this isn't working. And it's like, oh my gosh, like I've been going at this for a very, very, very long time. You talked about how long it took you to get from property number 1 to property number 2. I think it was 9 or so years from memory. So this stuff doesn't just happen instantaneously. Show me anyone who is successful, and all of them have had to toil away, battle away, adapt, pivot, learn, build resilience, all those types of things. Like you mentioned a couple of examples earlier on, but you could just rattle it off with anyone who is successful, any of our Hollywood A-listers, etc. They all have their own stories of trials and tribulations and knockbacks and rejections, etc. And it's the old adage of get knocked down 7 times, get up 8. You just got to keep getting up. But if you get up and then go, well, that doesn't work, and I'm going to go and head over here now after, say, 1 or 2 times, well, truly, you're not progressing forward at all. You will just spin, go around, and you'll get incredibly dizzy.
Like how many people knew Tony Robbins 20 years ago?
Not many.
How many people knew Gary Vee 10 years ago?
Yeah, how many people? Yeah, exactly. How many knew him a few years ago, right? And so it's, but he was out there. He was doing some stuff. Not many people knew it, but he just kept going. He kept going. He kept going. He kept going. And here's the thing. He's doing it because he's enjoying the journey. And I think, to be honest, Luke, this is the heart of it. People are wanting to do it for the external things. Yeah, and it's the bling bling, it's the money, it's the keeping up with the Joneses, it's all those types of things. You have to do it for internal reasons. Like, it's all about what is driving you, and you have to love the journey. And if you're into personal development, you may hear this a lot, but you got to love what you do.